First, they have speeded up the deployment process using agile methodology. So, so everyone is know about the agile methodology where you will be like creating sprints. Okay. At the end of the sprint, you will have a deliverable so that people will be able to see within a shorter span of time, people will be able to see some piece of the component, not the complete product. Okay. At least some piece of the component they will be able to see at the end of a sprint. So average sprint cycle goes is like 2 weeks. Okay. Very rarely I see people uses like 4 week sprint cycle. Majority of the company uses a week sprint cycle or a 2 week sprint cycle. And at the end of the sprint, like a particular demo will be given. When I compare it with the waterfall model, so if you see the screen, so here you can see in the traditional method, so I will define, code, integrate, and test. Okay. And so next, the first time to get a real feedback is after the testing. Okay. So it will be previously people used to have a like a yearly release cycle or a half yearly release cycle, or even like in a quarter was the fastest release cycle in the days ago before agile and other things comes in. Okay. But here in the agile methodology, so we will be doing it in a loop. Okay. So for every iteration, okay, you will see some feedback from the customer, and if there is any changes or any new requirement comes in, agile methodology can accommodate that. But SDLC never accommodated the changes in the requirement. It says that when you uh, create a requirement and if there is a change, you need to create a CR, and that CR has to go in a complete process and it will take its own time to implement it in the waterfall method. But in Agile, it's not the case. Whenever there is a change request comes in, that will be added to a backlog, and based on the priority, that backlog can be added to the next sprint or it can be taken further. So this is how the development process has speeded up, because we are going to have the mantra like, how can I deliver a quality product faster to the market? When I talk about quality, I need to integrate as much as functionality possible. So this process, like going into the agile methodology, has really helped in organizations to deliver a faster product to the market. Okay. So, fine. On the one side, Agile has speeded up the development cycle, and next important improvement came in is called as the traditional infrastructures versus cloud infrastructures. Okay. So when you talk about cloud, it's not only your AWS or Azure. Okay. Even on-prem, because of virtualization, okay, we started to get the servers faster. Okay. So if you talk about like 10 years before, when I want a server to be added to my application, so what I have to do is, like, normally servers will not be kept in the data center. Okay, so there will be only limited number of servers that will be available, and when I want a server to be added, so I have to raise a ticket, and they need to procure the server, and it need to be added to the data center. On top of that, every other team, like my network team, will come and configure my network. My storage team will come and configure my storage, and after that, my OS team will come and install the application, and my security team will analyze the server and then provide a go ahead, and then only my application team can install the application on it. uh, Cloud and traditional versus cloud. So in the previous thing, like server has to be, it will take at least like 2 to 4 weeks for me to set up a server, and only after that I will be able to deploy the application now. Okay. Nowadays, because of the virtualization and the cloud technology comes into picture, so let it be my on-prem cloud, or let it be my public cloud like AWS or Azure or GCP, I can bring up the servers within a minute nowadays. Like the max time it will take for me to bring up a server is called 10 minutes is the max time. Okay. So this is where there is a differentiator in my application and the infrastructure. So my application development has speeded up, and at the same time, my infrastructure or provision of infrastructure is also speeded up. Okay. Still, there was a confusion in the uh, deployment, the deployments were not faster because there is a wall of confusion in between the development and the operations team. Okay, so this is a term coinage by me, like ops are from Mars and dev are from Venus, because these two teams are two different entities. Okay, like in the normal scenario, so development team is a separate team and operations team itself is a separate team. Okay, and their goals are totally opposite. Like for example, for the developer, their goal is to bring in as much as functionality possible. Okay, but at the same time, the ops team has a goal saying that I should not let the application go down. Okay, their target is 99.999999 percentage availability. That means on a year they have very little, like less than like a 2 hours, 3 hours of downtime only they can accommodate for a particular application or a particular service. Okay, so for this they are following a different process. Okay, but development wanted to speed up their integration of new application. They followed a different process. So that's called agile process. And operations teams follow a process called ITIL, which basically for a major change to be implemented into my application, ITIL needs 14 days of lead time, right? So in the 14 days, what they will do, so they will analyze the change, what is the change, how it is going to impact the application, where they will just get the approval from all the stakeholders. They will define a downtime for the application and the customers will be notified about the application downtime. And after that, they will deploy the changes. All those things, it takes a very long time for the application to go into the market. Okay, let's think of this scenario. Imagine, let's take our demonetization scenario. Okay, so in the demonetization time, one of the major thing which boomed is called our wallets, e-wallets. Okay, at that time, every bank had their own wallet product. Like let's say if you talk about the HDFC, they had the PayZapp, and SBI has their own wallet platform. So even though they are into the financial industry, okay, so these guys are from core finance industry, and they have a similar e-commerce like wallet platform. Using the wallet, you will be able to use it. But even though Paytm is not from a financial background, so I wouldn't call Paytm as a financial institute. They are a technology institute. That's what I used to call them. Like they were able to scale up, okay, and they were able to provide the service to it, and that's why people started to use the Paytm a lot. And after that, there are competitors comes in, like GPay came in, and there are lots of wallets now available. And based on their need, people go to the various wallet platform. But within a day's time, because demonetization, no one knows, okay, this is going to happen. And because of that, we are going to have a cash crunch and we need to have a wallet solution so that things can move smoothly. But Paytm was able to scale up at that time. Okay. So in that case, if they want to bring in any application or changes or scalability, they cannot really wait for this 14 days lead time. Okay. They want, if they want a change to be implemented, functionality to be implemented, I want it immediately done. So that is really not happening in the old ITL methodology. That is where DevOps comes into picture, which basically came into break this wall of confusion between the development and operations team.